Hopefully, take two. Um, these are the perils of streaming live. Um, my computer blue screened, which was not quite timely, rather poorly timed, I should say. All right, so let me get back to the conversation, back to the groove. Sorry about that. If you commented, I did not see that. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Let's see. All right, there we go. All right. Sorry about that, folks. This live stream was interrupted rather rudely by a blue screen of death. So we are back and we are live. Hit me up in the chat if you have any questions as I go through the material. Because this video may stand alone at some point in the future, my name is Frank Lavinia. You can catch me on, there we go. How do I move myself? No, that's not it. You can catch me at, it's not cooperating. Well, tomorrow is Friday the 13th, and I suppose maybe that's why. My name's Frank Lavinia, and you can catch me at franksworld.com, datadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. I do wonder what this glitch will do to my automated systems that I have that kind of will automatically post this stuff. So it's not a mistake if you, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm unit testing it. I'm unit testing the system. All right, so back to the topic at hand. Talking about MLOps, right, and the importance of MLOps. And I need to look at this screen because that screen is not what I'm showing. All right. So ultimately, what we have here is this notion of when we last left our heroes, data scientist and data engineer. It basically kind of the way data science has traditionally worked is that you have your data scientist, right? And, everybody wants to recruit the data scientist. Everybody wants to be the data scientist. But in fact, actually, the hotter job ticket for the last few years has been the data engineer, because the data scientist needs that raw data to provide fuel into generating these models. Now, these models, well, they're fine in and of themselves, but until they're actually put to use or put to production, they're not really going to do much good on the data scientist laptop or their Colab account or wherever it is they do. Speaking of which, you should check out something called Rhodes. But that's a conversation and a commercial for another day. But ultimately, the whole idea here is that MLOps is now something that has to be kind of part and parcel of what the data scientists do. Data scientists, and to a certain extent data engineers, are used to being kind of more or less working on their own islands, right? They were special snowflakes and unicorns, or whatever term you want to use them, and they were left to their own devices to create models. But as these models that they produce go into production, particularly in an enterprise, there's the magic word, production. They are now part of a much larger story called DevOps. So ultimately, DevOps, if you're not familiar, and a lot of my folks here are developers, and a lot of my audience members are data scientists. Most folks, data scientists don't even think that they apply to this. However, I think that those days are coming to an end. And that's a good thing, because as data science and machine learning become part and parcel of any serious enterprise, what the model that data scientists produce, they have to be managed, because, ultimately what's going to happen here is this model will drift over time, right? This model will age out. How do you monitor that? How do you go back into that? And for a lot of organizations right now, that's done in a manual process, which is less than ideal, which is less than optimal. So the good news is that the DevOps folks have figured this out a long time ago for code. And ultimately, the idea is that you have a developer. This developer pushes code to production, right? It goes to production. I have a whiny dingo right now, so bear with me. This code goes to production. Oh, my handwriting's not that good. All right, so this code goes to production. And then you get user feedback. User feedback or changes. I'm going to be a little nervous every time I move the screen because that's the one that happened when I last, right? User feedback changes. They then go back to the developer who then makes the code, and this then gets pushed into production. Does that look familiar? Does that look familiar to kind of what we have here, right? Okay. Because that's basically it. So if you replace this word model with code, or probably the more neutral term or artifact, right? This artifact goes to production. You look for, in this case, not so much feedback or user feedback, but you look for model drift, right? Because all models will age out, right? Because they're based on data. And as you as an organization act differently because of your predictive models, you are kind of also changing the ground state in the environment that you're working in. So drift is going to happen, and drift is going to happen just because the nature of the universe has entropy, right? It's hard to predict. Any number of things could happen. It's the same reason why the 10-day weather forecast is not as accurate as the 24-hour weather forecast. It's just the way it is. However, if you do produce a model, right, that's just drift happens. I should make a t-shirt. All right, I think I'm live. All right, well, now it's picked up where I was. Well, that's weird. All right, well, obviously the computer is not behaving. Maybe I'll try it again with Linux. Maybe it'll behave better. I don't know. Although one of the problems I did have with my Linux box was it didn't like the docking station. So maybe I'll give it a shot again. Maybe I'll try from another computer. Thanks for sticking with me. I see that this stream's still kind of activated. Where was I going with this? So ultimately, and I don't have the drawing, so you'll have to bear with me, is that ML ops is something I think every data scientist will at least have to have some cursory understanding of, right? I think that there's going to be kind of, data scientists are going to fall into three camps when it comes to this, right? One, they don't care, right? They just give me the data, give me my Python, give me my R, I don't care. Two, the ones that are really attached to it, right? And they'll really embrace this. And three, the ones who really could go either way. And I think that it's probably right now, just based on my gut feel, probably a third, evenly like split into thirds, with possibly the ones that don't care at all being a little bit larger.
But I think this is just part of how data science and ML is going to mature into the marketplace, into the enterprise, right? It's an enterprise technology now. It's table stakes. It's no longer like, hey, look, we can come up with this AI model to do this, right? And we'll be cutting edge. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's still cutting edge, but it's not, it's kind of expected now that AI has some kind of touch to somebody's business, whether that's in the function of something like a pre-made cognitive services model like Microsoft has, with doing the OCR or the computer vision or NLP type stuff, or Amazon Recognition or Amazon Lex, Dialog Flow, although those are really, Dialog Flow is more of a chatbot thing. But I mean, it's table stakes now for large enterprises. So I think this is a good thing. I think a lot of data scientists are going to resist it because they're so used to being treated, differently, maybe specially, because they're kind of on their own. They were the rock stars of the past, 8-10 years, and they're still going to be rock stars. It's just now these rock stars now have to play in a band. Maybe they're not rock stars. Maybe they're used to being solo artists, right? Or and now they realize that they have to play in an orchestra. Maybe that's the better analogy, right? And I think yes, I think Andy messaged me on another platform like, ouch, about the oh no, that was about something else, something funny. I'm not going to share here, but anyway, but I think that ultimately, I think the story now becomes, how do data scientists now, instead of being solo artists, how do they go and they join a band or they join an orchestra? That's a good thing. That is a good thing. So I think that the data scientists need to embrace that change, because I think on all and up and up, it's a good thing, right? You're now core to the success of the business. And because you're now core to the success of the business, there's certain SLAs that have to be maintained. This is no longer experimental. This is table spaces, I was going to say. I don't know if you could hear it, but my dogs are barking in the background. But anyway, that's kind of my thought. I will try to figure out what the root cause of this thing going blue screen is, because it is quite annoying. I suspect because what I do here, I'll show you, since I now have the camera loose. I kind of have this set up for my main work setup. So the cool thing about this is that it is 4 monitors, I guess 3 technically externally, and each one of them is I forget what the resolution is, but it's big. It's more than HD. It's not 4K. It's one of the resolutions between. And one of the things that I've done is, with this Lenovo docking station that I have, it does not support 3 of these, right? So actually, that's not true. What it'll do is that these will be at the higher resolution. 2 will be at the higher resolution. That's like close up. 2 will be at the higher resolution, and 1 will be at like HD, just regular HD, which for my OCD, that does not work. So what I did is I wired in another docking station. This is starting off as an ML ops conversation. Now it's turning into a hardware thing. Here is, so there's the Lenovo dock. I still haven't quite figured out how to do this quite properly. But there's the Lenovo dock, and then here's the DisplayLink dock. So what the DisplayLink dock does, it's connected to the Lenovo dock, and it basically powers the extra monitor to be at the higher resolution, which adds a bit of a hack. In fact, when I was running, I still am, running Linux on another ThinkPad, my personal ThinkPad, it handled everything fine. Like, I literally had no driver problem except for that docking station. That's the only problem it had. Now, maybe I'll try something else, because I don't need a full-on dock. Actually, that gives me an idea. I'm going to try plugging something in, see if that'll fix it, because I could use that somewhere else. I could give that to my kid, right? Because, I'm that type of dad. I'd be curious to see if I can find another way to fix it. So just talking it out and sharing the story with you all, that gave me an idea. So here is going to be, this is where the 6 monitor rig is. They're on the floor. Some of them are on the floor right now. There's the Linux box. Fun fact: I named all my PCs that are mine after shifts in the Expanse series, because I'm a huge fan of that show. There you go. There's the Rocinante thing. I also have a model of the Rocinante that is still in the box, one of the packing boxes. Here, of course, is my red hat. And that's all I got. Thankfully, I didn't blue screen. So fortunately, I did have a backup plan this time. First time I was caught off guard. Second time I was not. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever. Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to steal a tip from Noelle, my good friend Noelle Silver. And she says, you know, if you're watching live, put hashtag live. If you're watching on a replay, put hashtag replay. I think that's a cool way to kind of get to know your audience. And if you have any questions or you want me to try streaming it again with the whiteboard, I'm going to keep testing it out and figure out why it's blue screening on me. Does it have anything to do with the dock or whatever? Anyway, you have a fantastic day.